Welcome to Brain Boogerz, where we explore the intersections of mental health, personal growth, and sometimes the paths less traveled. I'm MJ, and today we're diving into a topic that's often misunderstood but deeply rich in meaning: paganism, Wicca, and the Wheel of the Year, also known as the Wiccan Sabbats. Now, maybe you've heard paganism called witchy or strange. I'm not here to scare you or present some twisted ideas about witches and cauldrons, black cats, or other familiars. Instead, I want to bore you about the fiction and excite you about the facts of paganism and Wicca. Maybe you've wondered why it gets such a bad rap, or what draws people to these earth-centered traditions. My goal today is to demystify these beliefs, spotlight the values at their core, and show how their seasonal rhythms can inspire personal growth, no matter your background. Before we get started, click subscribe and tap the notification bell so you never miss the latest. And if this episode sparked discovery and introspection, share it with others to join in on the conversation. Also, the content shared on this podcast is based on my own personal experiences, wanderings, and research. We promote discovery, introspection, and growth as individuals and as a society. If you're seeking mental health support, please seek a qualified mental health professional. While we do our best as a village, it sometimes takes an experienced, trained, and seasoned individual to aid in our medical recovery. Okay, so let me level set. I wanted to talk about paganism after engaging in a discussion with my sister about our experiences growing up, and what we're learning now at an older age with a variety of experiences and an appreciation for learning for oneself. We talked about growing up Pentecostal and what we've learned since our departures that have been eye-opening. During one discussion, I decided it was time for me to do a deep dive into paganism, its source, and what it really entails. So, let's start with the elephant in the room: paganism's reputation. For centuries, paganism and, more recently, Wicca have been misunderstood, misrepresented, and at times deliberately distorted, both by outside forces and occasionally by those seeking to capitalize on their mystique. Historically, as Christianity spread through Europe, it often painted local, nature-based religions as dangerous or even evil. Terms like pagan became shorthand for outsider or other. Over time, this led to stereotypes. Think secret rituals, devil worship, or even just weirdness. Similarly, heathen is a dated term used primarily of someone who is not religious or whose religion is not Judaism, Islam, or especially Christianity. It is also sometimes used disapprovingly of someone who is not cultured. This use is also dated. In current use, pagan is most commonly used of someone who practices a contemporary form of paganism, such as Wicca, making the word synonymous with neo-pagan. But pagan also has meanings identical to those of heathen. In those uses, it too is dated. Additionally, pagan has literary use, referring to a non-religious person who delights in sensual pleasures and material goods. The origins of heathen and pagan are semantically similar. Heathen likely comes from a term for a country inhabitant, in particular a heath dweller. The Latin source of pagan, paganus, originally meant country dweller or civilian. It was used at the end of the Roman Empire to refer to people who practiced a religion other than Christianity, Judaism, or Islam, and especially to those who worshipped multiple deities. It's believed that the religious meanings of paganus developed either from the enduring non-Christian religious practices of those who lived far from the Roman cities where Christianity was more quickly adopted, or from the fact that early Christians referred to themselves as soldiers of Christ, making non-believers civilians. This happened through historical suppression. As Christianity spread across Europe, pagan traditions were often labeled as dangerous, evil, or uncivilized. Ancient rituals were outlawed or forced underground. Over time, stories about pagan practices were exaggerated or twisted to fit narratives of fear and control. Demonization. Symbols, deities, and rituals that once represented fertility, protection, or the cycles of nature were recast as satanic or heretical. The term witch itself shifted from wise healer to sinister outcast. And cultural appropriation and commercialization. In modern times, elements of paganism and Wicca have been cherry-picked or commercialized. Think Halloween, crystals, or witchy aesthetics, often stripped of their original meaning or context. This can dilute the depth and intention of these practices, reducing them to trend or commodity. Why does this matter? Well, loss of authenticity. When traditions are misrepresented, their wisdom and value can be lost. The focus shifts from genuine connection and growth to stereotypes or superficial practices. Barriers to understanding. Misconceptions make it harder for people to explore or benefit from these paths. Instead of seeing paganism and Wicca as sources of reflection, healing, and connection, many only see the myths and misunderstandings. And opportunity for reclamation. The good news? There's a movement within modern pagan and Wiccan communities to reclaim and clarify their traditions, focusing on education, authenticity, and respectful practice. So, here's an actionable reflection. Ask yourself, where have I seen pagan or Wiccan traditions misrepresented in media or culture? What assumptions do I hold, and where do they come from? And how can I approach these topics with curiosity rather than judgment? In this, you seek out authentic voices and resources. And if you're interested in these traditions, learn from practitioners, read original texts, and approach with respect. The truth? Pagan and Wiccan traditions are rooted in reverence for nature, cycles, and community. They're not about rebellion for the sake of it. They're about connection, mindfulness, and honoring the world around us. I'm not here to demonize Christianity. Instead, I want to separate paganism from the shadows of propaganda and manufactured ignorance. You see, paganism and Christianity are distinct spiritual paths with different origins, beliefs, and traditions. Paganism is an umbrella term for a variety of earth-centered spiritual traditions, many of which predate Christianity. These include ancient religions from Africa, the Middle East, Europe, and beyond, like Celtic, Norse, Roman, Greek, and Egyptian traditions. Paganism focuses on cycles of nature, polytheism, a belief in many gods or goddesses as representations of nature's myriad manifestations, and honoring the earth's rhythms, and emphasizes personal experience, ritual, and community connection. Christianity emerged in the 1st century of the Common Era, rooted in the teachings of Jesus of Nazareth. It's monotheistic, belief in one God, and centers on the life, death, and resurrection of Jesus, and the promise of salvation through faith. Traditions are grounded in the Bible and shaped by centuries of church history. Now, where do these traditions stem from? Pagan traditions stem from ancient pre-Christian cultures. Pagan celebrations like the Wiccan Sabbats align with solstices, equinoxes, and agricultural cycles. Pagan rituals often involve honoring deities, ancestors, and the natural world, and many modern pagan and Wiccan practices are revivals or reconstructions of these older traditions. Christian traditions stem from Jewish roots with influences from Greco-Roman culture. Key celebrations like Christmas and Easter correspond to events in Jesus' life. Many Christian holidays were set to coincide with or replace earlier pagan festivals. For example, Christmas near the winter solstice of Yule, and Easter near the spring festivals of Oyster. And rituals include prayer, worship, communion, and sacraments. Now, some key differences are a view of the divine. Paganism is often polytheistic or animistic. Christianity is monotheistic. Relationship to nature. Paganism sees nature as sacred and cyclical. Christianity often views nature as creation to be cared for, but not inherently divine. And rituals and holidays. Pagan rituals align with seasonal changes. Christian rituals commemorate events in Jesus' life and teachings. So this led me to wonder, are Wicca and paganism and the devil or Satan connected? The short answer is no. Paganism and the concept of the devil or Satan are not connected. The association is a result of misunderstanding, historical bias, and religious propaganda, not the beliefs or practices of pagan traditions themselves. So where did the confusion come from? Well, there's the Christian influence. When Christianity spread through Europe, it often labeled local, nature-based religions as evil or devilish to discourage participation. Many pagan gods, especially those with horns or animal features, were recast as the devil in Christian art and stories, even though these deities had no connection to Christian concepts of evil. Also, I know this is a reach, but evil originates from the Old English word yfel, Y-F-E-L, which is derived from the Proto-Germanic meaning to throw or to harm. Devil comes from the Greek word diablos, meaning slanderer or accuser, with roots in the Greek word for to throw. So evil is actioned by the devil. With pre-Christian roots, paganism refers to a wide range of ancient, earth-based spiritual traditions that existed long before Christianity. These traditions honored many gods, goddesses, and spirits of nature, with no concept of a single, all-evil being. When we compare that to Wicca's origins, Wicca is a modern, pagan religion developed in the early to mid-20th century. It draws from ancient pre-Christian traditions, but does not recognize the devil or Satan as part of its belief system. We also see a Christian reinterpretation. For example, the horned god Pan from Greek mythology became a visual model for the Christian devil, even though Pan had nothing to do with evil. Pan, in fact, is the god of the wild, shepherds, and flocks, rustic music and impromptus, and companion of minor female nature deities called nymphs. And there's different worldviews. Like I said, Wicca and most pagan paths are polytheistic or animistic, honoring many gods and goddesses, or the spirit of nature. The idea of a single all-evil being, or Satan, is unique to Christianity and some related religions. It's not a part of pagan cosmology. The final point here is there is no Satan in pagan belief. The idea of Satan, a singular embodiment of evil opposed to a singular god, is unique to Christianity and related religions. It's not a part of the indigenous pagan worldviews, which generally see divinity as diverse, complex, and tied to the natural world. So, what does Wicca actually believe? Well, there's no devil figure. Wiccans do not worship Satan or any devil figure. Their deities are often a goddess or a god, representing the balance of nature and life. And ethics. Wiccan ethics are summed up in the phrase, "And you harm none, do what you will." The focus is on personal responsibility, respect, and living in harmony with others and the earth. This myth persists due to centuries of misunderstanding, fear, and sometimes deliberate misinformation, leading to the Wicca equals Satanism myth. And media and pop culture sometimes sensationalize or misinterpret Wicca for dramatic effect. Now, what paganism actually teaches is 1. Nature-centered. Paganism celebrates the cycles of nature, the seasons, and the interconnectedness of life. 2. Polytheism and animism. Many gods and goddesses and spirits, none of whom are the devil in the Christian sense. And 3. Ethics. Pagan traditions often focus on balance, respect, and personal responsibility, not opposition to a force of evil. Why this matters is we need to dispel stereotypes. Understanding that the real roots of paganism helps break down harmful myths and encourages respectful exploration of different spiritual paths. We are also reclaiming symbols. Many modern pagans are working to reclaim their symbols and traditions from centuries of misrepresentation. So a key takeaway here is Wicca and Satanism are not the same. Wicca is about nature, seasons, and the personal growth of an individual, not about the Christian concept of the devil. So, if you've heard this myth, ask yourself, where did that information come from? What questions do you still have about Wicca or paganism? I welcome you to do some study. And putting in plainly, at their heart, both paganism and Wicca value connection to nature, personal growth, and a respect for life. It's about the cycles of the seasons, the phases of the moon, the elements, and these aren't just metaphors, but guiding principles for living in harmony with the world. It's about the reflection, the mindfulness, and intentionality that are woven into rituals in daily life, and that there's a deep sense of interconnectedness. What we do matters to ourselves and to others. For many, these beliefs offer a way to slow down, notice the world, and live with purpose. Also, the tenets, a principle or belief, especially one of the main principles of a religion or philosophy, of paganism and religion are 1. Community. Rituals and gatherings aren't just about tradition, they create belonging. Whether it's a group celebrating the solstice or a solitary practitioner lighting a candle, the focus is on a shared experience and support. And 2. Life management. The seasonal cycles become a framework for growth. Each Sabbat is a reminder to pause, reflect, and set intentions. For example, as the year turns toward winter, we might ask, what am I ready to let go of? What do I want to nurture next? So, how are these tenets exercised? One way is through the Wiccan Sabbats. The Wiccan Wheel of the Year includes 8 Sabbats, each with its own unique symbols. Let's look at these symbols, which help practitioners connect to the season's energy and meaning, and are often used in rituals, altars, and art. Number 1, Samhain. It is spelled S-A-M-H-A-I-N, and is pronounced Samhain. This celebrates the end of the harvest, honoring ancestors, reflection on what's ending in our lives, and setting intentions for the new cycle. It is often called the Witch's New Year. You may know this Sabbath by another name, Halloween, or All Hallows Eve, or the Eve of the Hallowed Day. Many believe the veil between worlds is thinnest, making it a powerful time for remembrance and release. Its symbols are pumpkins, apples, cauldrons, skulls, candles, photos of ancestors, and autumn leaves, with a focus on endings, honoring ancestors, and transitioning into winter. Number 2, Yule, or the winter solstice, often around December 21st, celebrating the return of the sun. This is intertwined with the winter holiday season, focusing on Christmas, Hanukkah, and Kwanzaa. Symbols of this are evergreen branches, holly, mistletoe, pine cones, candles, the Yule log, and sun wheels, with a focus on the rebirth of the sun, hope, endurance through darkness with the burning of the communal log, providing warmth, light, and community during the darkest part of the year. 3. Imbolc. This Sabbath is in early February, marking the first signs of spring. Some may know this also as Groundhog Day, as it's often on February 1st or 2nd. You know, the whole thing about a rodent providing the answers to the age-old question at the halfway point of winter, with roughly 6 weeks remaining of, will winter be over in 6 weeks? Its symbols are candles, snowdrops, Bridget's cross, seeds, white flowers, and milk, with a focus on light returning, purification, and new beginnings. 4. Ostara. This is the celebration of the spring equinox, a time of rebirth and balance. This is intertwined with the spring holiday season, namely Easter for Christianity. Its symbols are eggs, rabbits, budding flowers, seeds, and baskets, with a focus on balance, fertility, renewal, and growth. 5. Beltane, celebrating fertility and life. This is also called May Day, as it marks the middle point between the start of spring and summer. Its symbols are the maypole, flowers, ribbons, bonfires, baskets, honey, and bells, with a focus on fertility, passion, union, and celebration of life. 6. Litha. This is the celebration of the summer solstice, the height of light and abundance, often around June 21st. Its symbols are the sun wheels, sunflowers, oak leaves, fire, herbs, and honey, with a focus on abundance, light, power, and the peak of the sun. 7. Lammas. This is celebrated in early August and signifies the first harvest. Its symbols are wheat, corn, bread, grains, sunflowers, sickles, and berries, with a focus on first harvest, gratitude, and abundance. And lastly, 8. Mabon. This is celebrated during the autumn equinox, a time of gratitude and balance, often around September 21st. Its symbols are apples, grapes, wine, cornucopia, autumn leaves, and pomegranates, with a focus on the second harvest, balance, thanksgiving, and preparation for rest. Many of these symbols are placed on altars, worn as jewelry, or used in rituals to honor the season, and serve as reminders of nature's cycles and the intentions of each Sabbat, and help create a sensory, mindful connection to the earth and the present moment. In modern practice, people celebrate with bonfires, ancestor altars, journaling, or simply taking time to reflect on the year's lessons. It's less about spells and more about intention and gratitude. It's more about good food and drinks and sensuality, as in experiencing the world through your senses of sight, smell, taste, touch, and hearing. When people think of paganism or Wicca, images of bubbling cauldrons and magical potions are often what come to mind. But what's the real story behind potions and recipes in these traditions? In pagan and Wiccan practice, a potion is usually a blend of natural ingredients, herbs, flowers, oils, and sometimes water or wine, prepared with intention. Potions can be teas, baths, anointing oils, or even sprays. In pagan and Wiccan practice, recipes are instructions for creating blends, foods, or drinks that serve a ritual or spiritual purpose. Recipes might also include instructions for incense, candles, or ritual foods. The point and purpose is 1. Intentionality. The core of any potion or recipe is intention. Practitioners believe that focusing on a specific goal, healing, protection, love, or clarity, while preparing and using the blend, helps direct energy toward that outcome. 2. Connection to nature. Using herbs and natural elements honors the earth and its cycles. Each plant is chosen for its symbolic or energetic properties, like lavender for calm and rosemary for protection. 3. Ritual and mindfulness. The process of creating and using a potion is meditative. It's a way to slow down, focus, and connect with one's own needs and the natural world. And 4. Empowerment. Making potions or following recipes can foster a sense of agency and self-care. It's about taking active steps toward desired change, whether it's emotional healing, clarity, or simply setting an intention. Some examples are a calming tea made with chamomile and lavender, sipped during meditation to promote peace, a protection spray with rosemary and salt misted around a space to set boundaries or clear negative energy, and a ritual bath with rose petals and sea salt used during a new moon to invite self-love or renewal. Potions are not about supernatural powers or casting spells in the Hollywood sense, not a replacement for medical or psychological care, not inherently mysterious. These are often simple, mindful acts that anyone can do. As we finish this dive, you don't have to be Wiccan to find value in these cycles. Here are some things to consider or do to open your understanding of paganism and Wicca. Ask yourself, what am I ready to release as the year turns? Try creating a simple ritual, such as lighting a candle, writing down what you're letting go of, or reaching out to someone who's supported you this year. And use the Wheel of the Year as a reminder that our lives, too, have seasons, times to grow, to rest, to celebrate, and to let go. Adulteration doesn't erase the value at the heart of pagan and Wiccan practices. With open-mindedness and honest inquiry, we can move beyond stereotypes, finding wisdom in traditions that have endured, adapted, and continue to offer meaning today. Potions and recipes in pagan and Wiccan practices are tools for intentional living and spiritual connection. They blend nature, mindfulness, and personal empowerment, reminding us that ritual can be as simple as making tea with purpose. Thanks for joining me as we explore the roots and rhythms of pagan and Wiccan traditions. My hope is that you walk away with a little more curiosity, a little less judgment, and maybe a new way to reflect on your own journey. I'm fascinated by the origins and mutations of social practices, and I hope this provided you with a better understanding of paganism and Wicca. If you have questions, stories, or want to share your own experiences, I'd love to hear from you. And don't forget to tap the notification bell, hit subscribe, and share this episode with someone who might enjoy a bit of a mental jog and search for clarity. Until next time, keep growing, keep reflecting, and remember, every season has something to teach us. Join me next time, where we'll pick and dig in on Brain Boogers.